I found myself in this difficult cycle of selling, but not profiting and being like, well, what's going on? Like, this isn't business. I'm just losing money on every sale here.
What was the reality of traditional dropshipping for you?
Yeah, well, selling low ticket items from Temu, from AliExpress, from wherever you source them from, often from China. That's where at the moment the lower priced items are often imported from. It just means that you're working harder for less profit. So it's kind of counterintuitive when you break it down like that. It just makes it incredibly difficult to scale effectively because you're putting in more work because there's more issues around it in terms of like the long delivery times, the customer support, the import fees, like all of that stuff. But actually it's not even worth the extra effort because you are making such a slim profit margin. So selling those low cost items for such a slim profit margin, you're basically like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of bricks. It's going to slow you down. It's going to make it harder. And you still got to run the long race. You're still trying to build this business, but you're just doing it with like weights in your backpack. So it's really difficult. And I found myself in this difficult cycle of selling, but not profiting and being like, well, what's going on? Like, this isn't business. I'm just losing money on every sale here. And you kind of feel like you're in the hamster wheel because you're thinking, okay, well, I'll just run faster then. That'll be the reason. I'll just sell more. I'll just pour more into ads. But the more you pour into ads, the more problems arise, the less profit you make. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. You're just spinning in your wheel. And so, switching to high ticket items, high priced items, high profit items, as we teach with the home turf advantage model, it really made things shift into my favor. And it started to become clear that the model that I was trying to build my business upon was flawed. The overall concept of dropshipping worked, but it was the strategy that I was employing that was making it much harder than it needed to be. And it was like I was operating with one arm tied behind my back the whole time. So as soon as I went for higher priced items, the floodgates opened and I realized, wow, okay, I didn't need to do any more work. I just needed to switch strategy.
Yeah, and it's important to notice that and not to write it off completely. It's important just to see where you've gone wrong, but carry on and don't give up and just make a change and pivot so that you can be successful. And I remember a crucial reason for me to switch to the home turf advantage model, so high ticket dropshipping instead of a low ticket store, was that your work and your hard work that you put into growing a business compounds on itself for years to come. So whereas with a low ticket store, you have to build a store, you build Facebook ads, you ride the trend, you ride the wave of a trending product, and then it all dies down again a few months later. With that low ticket store, you'll need to then do it all again. And all of that work that you put in goes to waste. You might have made some money in those few months, but now you need to spin the wheel again, create a new store, create new Facebook ads, give your ad account time to start learning who your customers are again. And you have to completely recycle all the hard work you've done and put in already up to that point. Whereas with the high ticket dropshipping that we've got now, it's a long-term sustainable business so that you're selling products that aren't just trending. You don't have to ride a wave. These products are going to be sold today and they'll still be getting sold in 5-10 years time. So the work you put in to get a store set up now will be paying you back for years to come. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You won't have to teach your ad account who your customers are, because it will just continually optimize every month that you continue to run ads. So it is a lesson there to learn. And if you want to do work upfront, hard work, and put that in and get paid for years, then it's the high ticket model. If you want to continually put hard work in and sort of go around like a hamster in a wheel, as you say, then the low ticket model is probably more for you if you like that repetition. Something else to consider is that traditional dropshipping is traditional for a reason. It's what most people go to first of all. And so that can cause saturation. So how can market saturation affect new dropshippers?
Yeah, well, saturation, I mean, firstly, I guess competition, just separating competition from saturation. Competition isn't necessarily a bad thing. People fear competition. They think, I need to find a market with no competition. But we want competition. We want to know that there is a market there where money is being made so that when we go into it, we can be fairly sure that we're going after the right opportunity. But saturation is where it becomes problematic. That leads to fierce competition. And often it means driving up advertising costs and it lowers your profit margins even further. And that's problematic when we're selling items where maybe we only make £30 in profit on a sale, because there's not that much room for advertising spend. If that's your sale margin, and maybe you're spending £25, £30, £40 on ads, suddenly you go from slightly profitable to actually making a loss on every sale. So we can easily eat that up just in our ad spend. Not to mention, the thing that no one talks about is later, when you start making some sales and occasionally a customer wants a refund and they say, do you know what, cancel the order, forget it. But it's on a ship on the way from China and you're a week and a half into a 30-day delivery time, you realize I need to refund this customer because the item can't be sent back to China. The customer's not going to be willing to do that. The supplier's not going to be willing to take it. So it means that we have to refund the customer out of our own pocket, which then means that all of the profit we made on the last 5 or 6 sales is eaten up by one refund that just goes. Contrast that with selling products from UK suppliers, where you can just easily send the product back to the UK supplier, who can then just send it out again when you make a sale in the future and you get credited the amount or you get refunded the amount. It's night and day, right? So lower priced items are often what everyone thinks to sell first. And because of that, because they assume there's a low barrier to entry, it actually means that they are the most competitive. And so when you enter a saturated market like that, it's tough. When you go walking through a shopping mall and you see those market stands that are usually kind of those temporary stands, and they have like wall-to-wall phone cases. They have like a wooden frame stood up, and then they just have like hundreds of different iPhone cases there. And if you think about the rent that they have to pay to the shopping centre to have their stand there, imagine how many sales of those phone cases they make or have to make in a day to make up the rent of just having the spot in that shopping centre there. Not to mention all of the issues, and like occasionally someone buys one and it breaks and they have to bring it back and refund it, and they're not making that much profit on each one of those phone cases. But also the even more annoying thing, and this is the saturation, is for every one of those, they look around and there's 5 others probably within sight who are doing exactly the same thing, selling the exact same products from China as well. And so you're seeing everyone else sell the same way that you are, and it's very, very difficult to stand out. And what that's like in the digital world is the equivalent of us just putting up some products that we found on Temu or AliExpress or something like that, some other online product sourcing website, and just creating our online version of our marketplace stand selling our phone cases. This is like symbolic of what low ticket dropshipping is like. But pivoting away from selling lower priced products is what really, really made this business model of dropshipping come to life for me.
And you can pivot and you can go to a new world of opportunity if you don't go where the crowd goes. So this reminds me of walking through London recently. We had a great meetup with members of the masterclass. And the next day, my girlfriend and I, we were walking through London, and we went through Piccadilly Circus. And so we were sort of in the west side of London, and it was chaos. It was a Saturday before Christmas, and you couldn't move around. You were dodging, ducking and diving, weaving around people in Piccadilly Circus. But you take one turn onto a road down in towards Mayfair, and suddenly you've got the whole pavement to yourself. It's a lovely area. It's clearly the place you'd rather be, more comfortable area, and it's just from one turn. So it sort of reminds me now of going into the low ticket, being like Piccadilly Circus. Everyone's there. It's crazy. It's difficult. It's not comfortable. Or you take one turn into a Mayfair road, and suddenly it's serene, peaceful, and the opportunities are there. So it reminds me a bit of an analogy, because that was in my mind recently. But there is a choice you have to make, and that choice isn't yours to make at the start. You're the most flexible you'll ever be before you get started. So this would be the time to make that decision before making the issues, before having the difficulties and the losses, and before having more weight and sort of debt, and then your identity is sort of welded to that initial idea. At this point, when you're first started, you've never been so flexible to make a change.